Hello, dear friends. Welcome. Welcome to a new study. Yes, we are here for a new study. It's been 2 years, more than 2 years, that we have been studying together different books, especially at 11 p.m. We have several wonderful hosts who have been also promoting the insights, the teachings of Spiritism in all of its facets. At 11 p.m., at this time, we're going to be studying the book Mediumship and Attunement. In Portuguese, this book is titled Mediunidade e Sintonia. This book is short, 20 chapters long, and yet super deep. The book was psychographed by Chico Xavier and authored by Emmanuel in 1986. 85 to 86. And this book came about in Portuguese, but not yet in English. So here at Kardec Radio, we together are going to have the wonderful experience of sharing these teachings firsthand in English, okay? And why mediumship and attunement? Because we are living in an era on earth where we really need to educate ourselves at higher levels. We know that educating the intellect is important, but educating our emotions, educating our spiritual essence is vital. And if we don't do so, we'll pay a high price, because we'll see the side effects in our relationships and we'll see its impact in every aspect of our life. You and I are mediums, and as such, we need to take care of our mediumship. Okay? No longer Spiritism will treat mediumship as something that bring people to the level of special people. No. Spiritism gets rid of that myth. It's a myth that mediums are better people, that mediums are special people. In Spiritism, we know that you and I, we're all mediums. How so? Of course, the first foundational book is the Medium's book. The Spirit's book, and then the Medium's book by Kardec. And when we open this book and read the beauty of chapter 1, a masterpiece, are there spirits? And Kardec talks about the existence of ourselves beyond just the physical essence. And he goes on and on and on, telling us that at the end of the day, we are all mediums. We all communicate beyond the 5 senses of the physical body. We communicate mind to mind. And that's why, following the orientation, the guidance of Emmanuel, we're going to begin studying the book Mediumship and Attunement. I see wonderful friends joining us, right? And I am tempted to say hi. I will say hi, because the ones that I can see, it's been a long time. It's been a little while that we haven't been together, right? Chris and Anastasia, how are you? A big hug to you and your mom. So Souza, how are you and your beautiful daughter? Jailton, how are you? Karina Alice, thank you, Karina. Teresa Castro, how are you, Teresa? Rihanna, how are you? Big hug to you, Felicia, and the whole family. Sunshine, how are you, Sunshine? Raquel Bakeshi, how are you? Daisy, how are you, my friend? How are you? Lea Severo, big hug to you, Lea. Raquel Leon, big embrace, deep embrace. Andrea Torres, beautiful mom, beautiful daughters. How are you, my friend? And Debbie Oliveira, how are you? Carol Correa, how are you, my friend? Welcome, welcome, dear souls. Now we're here, let us grow, shall we? Today, as we study the book Mediumship and Attunement, we are going to be studying Preface, the preface of the book. You know, it's interesting because many people read the spiritist books, and they barely read the preface. But you know, why is it so important to read the preface? Because the author is giving us an idea about the main goal of the book. Leon Denis, in the book After Death, right, Karina Alice, he explains to us in the chapter that talks about education. He says, when we are reading a book, we're connecting to the mind of the author. So it's important to know why Emmanuel wrote this book. Because the medium's book is already written. Why write another book about mediumship, and specifically mediumship and attunement? So today we're gonna spend our time reading. It's only 5 paragraphs, and studying these 5 paragraphs, okay? Emmanuel wrote this paragraph, this preface, through Chico Xavier in the city of Uberaba in January of 1986. So 30 some years ago, right? 30 some years ago. He begins, let us feel the connection with the spirit author as he explains to us. In this book, says Emmanuel, we align some notes about mediumship. Thus, we consider indispensable to mention the issue on attunement. Pause. He's saying some notes. So, as humble as he is, he's not telling us, I'm going to explain you everything, the whole 9 yards of mediumship. No, he's just telling us about some aspects, but he's going to emphasize the point of attunement, right? Hello, Monica Schmidt. Hello, Mamãe. How are you? Okay, now that we are in greater extended family here, right? Let us go deep. He says, mark it down, mediumship is mental force. Mediumship is creative talent of the soul, capacity to communicate and to interpret the soul, magnet in the very being. Attunement is mutual agreement. That is why examining mediumship and knowing that attunement is inherent in mediumship, we would dare, if possible, to ask, attunement or tuning what? Tuning in with what? And with whom? Pause. Attunement is mutual agreement. So mediumship here, he's saying, I'm not done reading the preface, but we need to pause to reflect on this. He gives us big concepts. Mediumship as mental force. You see, Emmanuel is educating us on mediumship. For many lives, we thought that mediumship is, just a gift of special people. Spiritism says, like intelligence, mediumship is for all and within all. So pay attention, educate it. So there is no saying, I don't want to be a medium. That doesn't happen, I'm sorry. You need to educate. You need to go to school and study your mediumship, and then practice. But the practice comes after studying the basics, or it's dangerous. Okay? So studying is inevitable. We cannot, I want to be a surgeon, and then go there, go to elementary school and become a surgeon. No. I have to go through kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and then graduate school, and then residency, take the board exam, and then be a surgeon. I'm not saying that to practice mediumship it's gonna take 16, 18, 19 years. No. But it requires a solid foundation of study and, mark it down, and a harmonious group. It doesn't need to be big, but it needs to have at least 2-3 people. It doesn't need, the smaller the better. Too big of a group, as Kardec says in the Medium's book, not good. Because we lose the homogeneity of it. Okay? Hello, John Da Rosa. How are you? Tuani, how are you? Big hug to the family. Amanda Andrade. Big hug to the family too. Nora Brazil. Big hug, Nora. So friends, think about this. Mediumship is mental force. You can't escape away. Think about the cavemen. Caveman, cavewoman, if you told them they had to go to school and send their kids to school to be literate, they would either kill us or say, who are you? You're crazy. The same happens to people when we talk about mediumship nowadays. We're still so primitive in our understanding on earth that it's still a taboo. It's better than before, but it's still a myth and a taboo. People don't understand yet that mediumship is vital. Right, friends? Yes, I see Juliana. How are you, Juliana? How are you, Michael? Big hug, friends. So, mediumship is creative talent of the soul. Why creative? Creative in the sense of, it talks about the creative forces of the soul. That's why we see imbalanced mediumship creating problems in sexual misconduct. That's a story for another day. But observe, it's about the creative forces of the soul we need to educate. And capacity to communicate. To put something in common, to instruct the soul, as he says, to interpret the soul. Well, it's telling us, Emmanuel is explaining to us in many different ways, and he's not sparing words. He's just explaining to us, you need to educate this, or you're going to be like a power plant that is useless, idle. Problems begin. Waters that are stagnated, they get spoiled. They spoil. So we need to educate the flow of our waters. That creative force, we're talking about energy. And he says more, mediumship is magnet in the very being. Why? Because we emit and at the same time we attract. So if we don't educate and we are not aware of what we're emitting, we are attracting things unnoticingly. And then we look around like, oh my gosh, how have I got to this? Why am I connected to these people? Breathe in and out. Reset. And say, I will educate my mediumship. Instructing mediumship first. Instructing yourself on mediumship. And he says, attunement is mutual agreement. Mutual agreement. But he asks, tuning in what and with whom? You want to know the answer. Now he says, paraphrasing the old proverb, tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are, we will conclude that it is enough to explain where you are repeatedly to know that what goals you're looking for. Also, it is enough for us to notice who the person walks with so that we know who that same person wants to be like. So he's answering those questions. Tuning into what? Well, it depends. If you are always thinking about something, write it down. Make a research. Be your own scientist. That's homework for the next 24 hours, shall we? You don't need to carry a piece of paper. We all have cell phones. You can write down, whenever you recall, just like Weight Watchers, whatever diet program, but a better one, it's about mediumship. Think about what you're thinking and write it down. Saying, I'm thinking of food. It's 9 a.m. And then at 9:30, food. And then at 10, food. And then at 11, food. And then, oh my gosh, what kinds of spirits am I connecting to? Cooks? Chefs of the beyond? Or vampirizing spirits? I'm just giving you a silly example. But that's exactly what we want to know. If I pass my days thinking constantly of money, making money, or fame, power, or beauty, or that person, those people, always thinking negatively about myself, always thinking negatively about others, what kinds of spirits will be with us? Or on the other hand, at 8 a.m. I'm thinking, I want to help that person. At 9 a.m. helping another. At 10, somebody else, but they ask you for help. We don't impose. And I say this because we only help when people want us to help. Remember the blind man. He was blind, everybody knew it. He was in front of Jesus. And Jesus asked, what do you want me to do? He had to reaffirm it. It doesn't mean that he wants to be healed. Exactly. As crazy as it sounds, that's the human mind. Some people are fine with their impediments. You may think they have impediments, but they don't feel like it. So leave it alone. Law of justice. Respect people's rights of being who they are. So, who am I attuning with? Who am I attuning with? Depends. Who are the people you're constantly around? We're not saying that if you're a caregiver, you are the patient, but you need to watch out because there is what we call emotional contagion. We have an infrastructure to observe the external and emulate. To observe the external and emulate. That's why we have our guiding model, Jesus. By observing, I get to the goal. Got it? Yes. So now he says, through the above mentioned, we will recognize that every heart who pulses and works in the field of Jesus' teachings will resemble Jesus. You know, I bet that you're feeling like crying right now, because what a masterpiece. This preface is concise, but so deep, so consoling, so instructing. It tells us what mediumship is all about. That inevitably through our mediumship we're going to tune with other minds. That's why we need to educate our mediumship. And he says, pay attention to the people you are connecting with. And more, and more. He says here, solution. He doesn't allow us to read the book to give the solution, because these books are not commercial. He gives the recipe right up front. But if you want more and deeper, come to the next chapters. But he says, the rule is the same. If you work from the heart, and in the field of Jesus, you will resemble Jesus. And people may be asking, why do I care? Well, for us in Spiritism, it's clear. He's the model. He's the model. We want to be like him. That's the goal. Not because we're proud of ourselves, but because he's our master. We're supposed to follow the master. We're supposed to be willing to be like the master. We're supposed to wake up every day and imitate him. Ben Franklin, yes, one of the main founding fathers of the United States of America, when he was only 20 years of age, he started a list of virtues, 13 virtues, to work on himself. Amongst them, he wrote, I want to be more humble. And he wrote to himself, imitate Socrates the philosopher and Jesus. Socrates is one of the spirits mentioned in the Spirit's book in the very introduction as a precursor of the very teachings of the Christ, Plato and Socrates. Jesus as someone to be imitated. Ben Franklin, way before Spiritism was codified on earth, yes, in the 1700s, he wrote, imitate Jesus to be humble. So for us here, we want to resemble Jesus, the medium of God, as Kardec says in the book Genesis. So what do you feel right now? Is the proposal by Emmanuel too challenging? How do you feel? Or is it's rational enough and it makes sense and it speaks to your heart? Where are you regarding the proposal of this book? Do you feel already connected? So, homework for us? Think about it. Think about who you are tuning with and what you're tuning with. Think about it. Sunshine is saying, I feel very hopeful. Thank you for sharing, Sunshine. Hopeful, right? I agree with you. It brings us hope that we won't be stagnated in the present moment, however it may seem, joyful or not. Raquel Bakeshi is just validating, saying, yes, I do. Exactly. So you feel connected to it, to the proposal? Come back tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to start chapter 1. Chapter 1 of the book Mediumship and Attunement is titled Human Trees. Human Trees is the book, is the chapter that says, and that's a teaser for you and I. It says here, the gospel, in the light of Spiritism, the gospel does not refer to mediums as beams of light or stars, angels, or saints. So what are mediums then? Is Emmanuel trying to tell us that mediums are like trees? What does he mean? I don't know. That's a chapter for tomorrow. For today, in the next 24 hours, even if you are on demand, think about it, because if we don't feel the scripture, there is no use. Let us think. Where are my thoughts constantly or frequently during the day? Who am I connecting with? Be careful. What is it? Let's evaluate, assess it, and adjust ourselves so Emmanuel can keep educating us. Shall we, friends? Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Rihanna. And let us thank Emmanuel, Chico Xavier. Thank you, God, for the opportunity of being together. Thank you for another day studying, for the resources you give us so we can be together and progressing steadily towards you. Thank you for sending the beauty of Jesus' heart to our lives and the inspiration that He is for us daily. And so be it. Big hug, Raquel. Big hug, so all of you friends. And until tomorrow, God willing.